I'm sure everyone have a movie or an anime or any kind of media that has affected them in one way or another. A media that has left an impression on you for days, months, or even years. I recently rewatched one of my most favorite anime of all time, A Thousand Boys, or Koe no Katachi if you wanna be fancy. And this was one of those movies. Disclaimer, this video will go into sensitive topics like bullying, social anxiety, etc. If you don't feel comfortable watching it, please click off. Otherwise, there are many spoilers. Many spoilers. I remember watching this film when I was new to the whole anime thing, and everything I watched was just romance. So inevitably, I stumbled upon this movie. It has a romance tag in it. A movie which I thought was going to be a happy slice of life that will make my heart go doki doki. You know, the usual romance stuff. But what I got was a sad yet sweet story about redemption, anxiety, depression, suicide, and accepting oneself. Nishimiya is a deaf student, recently transferred into a new school, introducing herself through a notebook. The notebook as her way to connect with the world. Remember this, it will be important later. Ishida, on the other hand, is an outgoing student shown very clearly through the introduction of the movie, while being a bit of a brat himself. A Silent Voice mainly revolves around these two characters, building their relationship with the world around them and themselves. I have watched a fair share of bullying-focused anime, yet A Silent Voice, without focusing on it entirely, was able to portray it so real. When Nishimiya first entered the school, everybody was supportive and kind, but over time, they see her more as a dead weight. Like how she always asks Ueno to help her with her notebook, which made Ueno unable to keep up with the class. Ishida, seeing this, not able to understand, not being able to sympathize with Nishimiya, Ishida called, even though all she wanted was a friend. This inevitably turned into bullying her because of her disability. Yet, no one intervened, not even the teacher. While the classmate turned a blind eye to the whole ordeal, only one girl, Sahara, reached out and helped her, even going as far as learning sign language to communicate with Nishimiya. Another detail that I found interesting is the visible distance between Nishimiya and her classmates. At first, they were all close together, representing their friendship or just curiosity of a new transfer. Afterwards, we see Nishimiya's classmate slowly distancing themselves from her until it was only Nishimiya left, with no one standing by her side. Except Sahara, but that is until she also have to transfer school because of the same bullying that Nishimiya gets. However, Nishimiya doesn't see it the same way as we do. She blames herself for not being able to keep up, for being a dead weight, yet she hides it behind a smile and a thank you. Eventually though, when and only when the bullying went too far, does it stop. But even after all the abuse her bully put her through, she still thinks that herself is the problem and seeks out to apologize to Ishida for all the trouble that he has caused to himself, and still tries to befriend him. Nishimiya, having enough of it, changed school. Ishida was called out for it, and here we see the rough reality of the school environment. It is toxic, ruthless, as we see Ishida friends or turn their back on him in order to avoid responsibility. They all look away as if it was only Ishida that bullied Nishimiya. The teachers, whether purposefully or just clueless, only blame Ishida, not even trying to look into the situation. I found this scene to be so close to real life, even though I am fortunate enough to not have experienced bullying as a kid. However, my friend Stin, who was a professional bully, can attest to this.
Because, as they say, it do be real.
I don't claim this man as my friend. I don't know him. There is no real winner or loser in bullying. The one who bullies get punished and isolated because of all the blame they get. Seeing as how Ishida was the one to blame, his companions, who used to bully alongside him, bullied him instead. To me, I see this as a way to protect and boost one's ego, seizing the opportunity to redeem themselves from their past mistakes and putting on a facade of a good person. Oh, you're such a bully, I'm the good one with the moral high ground, or in an effort to protect themselves from their own ego. With that, it sent Ishida into isolation and ultimately gave him anxiety. The anxiety to communicate, to connect with other people, as he failed to do so to the only person who wanted to be his friend. The social anxiety was perfectly portrayed, in my opinion, through the access mark on everyone's face around Ishida. Alongside Ishida looking down at the ground instead of making eye contact, we see the overwhelming guilt and isolation Ishida is in. He himself knows this and closed himself to the outside world to protect himself and the people around him, because deep down he still blames himself, he still hates himself for bullying, for being the way he was during elementary school. This is noticeable throughout the entire movie, especially toward the end of the movie where the camera mainly zooms into the character's feet instead of their face. Weirdly enough, though, throughout all the media, movies, anime characters I have ever had the chance to watch, Nishimiya was the character that was able to communicate with me the most, despite being verbally challenged. Just like Ishida, even more so, Nishimiya wants to be accepted. She wants to be treated like a human, not a deaf person. Deep down, Nishimiya cares for all of her friends, yet she does not care for herself. I'm the problem, which is the reason why we see Nishimiya saying thank you during the chalkboard scene, or when she say I'm sorry when Ishida was leaving, or simply trying to clean up Ishida's table filled with insults solely because she felt responsible. She felt guilty because she put Ishida into this position. Isolation. It is also for this reason that she wasn't able to hold her emotion in anymore. For as long as we can remember, Nishiya has always smiled at the bullying, putting up a facade to blend in, holding back all of her emotion to eventually broke down. The way a silent voice was able to portray anxiety without over-exaggerating it like a lot of other anime, it is subtle yet realistic, giving out the sense of relatability to the viewers even more so than before. Similarly, Nishimiya also closed herself into isolation because of her disability. When her notebook, which is what ultimately connects her to the world she lives in, connect her to the people she meets, get destroyed and thrown away, she changes school, as her only means to communicate to the world is now no longer possible. So when Ishida meets with her and returns her notebook, she bursts into tears, finally able to connect with the world again. From that point on, Ishida and Nishimiya help each other, build upon each other's feelings and emotions to become better. There is no villain or antagonist, there are only flawed characters. The movie gives this flawed character a chance to change, a chance to help and connect to other people, as everyone is flawed in some way. For instance, Miyoko Sahara cowardice for not being able to stand up for herself, or Ueno picking on whoever she thinks is inferior to her, or Miki Kawai with her victim complex and arguably the most hated character in the entire movie. What a silent voice teaches you is that self-forgiveness, to forgive yourself from all the mistakes that you have made. It shows you that you have to come to the acceptance of your own flaws and mistakes, not to run away from and hide from it. We see all the flaws and how horrible the characters in this movie can be, and a lot of people have complained that because of these horrible acts that Ishida and the bullies have done in the beginning of the movie, they cannot watch it anymore. But I think that is important. Everyone is flawed in one way or another, whether for the better or for the worse. That is okay. We need to acknowledge that fact and accept them in order to better ourselves as a person. A silent voice makes this point very clearly, that people can make mistakes. They are not perfect. I have certainly done a lot of shitty stuff, and yes, I acknowledge them and cringe to them when I grow up and become a better person. Just like this character that have been shown, we all grow up and change one day. At the end of the movie, Ishida comes to terms with his mistake, his past, and most importantly, himself. The axes on people's face start to fall off as everyone that he has met and have helped him get to this point flashes into the frame. He cries because he is finally able to look at everyone's face, accepting who he is and connecting to the world he once lost. All the voices that he has blocked off, all the faces he refused to look at, no longer having to hold back his emotion, he cried. In my opinion, a silent voice is a reminder for us to keep on going no matter who we were in the past. We mustn't run away from them, but rather to accept them, understand our flaws and change into a better person. Everyone have got their own problems, but it is important for us to respect them for who they are and for what they're worth. This movie is a masterpiece that has changed many people's lives, including me. From the music to the art style, it has completely blew me away when I finish it. And if you have some time to put aside, watch it. And perhaps this movie will help you better yourself, as that is, in my opinion, the most beautiful thing about this movie specifically and anime as a whole. Hey there lads, this is one of the videos that I had planned to make for a very long time. Ever since 2019 when I first discovered A Silent Voice, I watched it and was blew away by how amazing it is. It was also the catalyst for my very own self-improvement journey. This is my very first time making something like this. My wording is off, and I most probably wasn't able to express all of my emotion when I was watching the movie. But I tried my best to put my heart and soul into the script, so I hope it was good. With that being said, I want to make more videos like this. So support the channel if you want to see more of it. Take it easy, and I will see you in the next one then.